Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to put together our craft kit. If you haven't ordered a craft kit, it's still going to be some good information on how to decoupage. If you've ordered the craft kit, I just want to give you a quick rundown of what you can expect in your box. We are going to give you 2 sheets of our new JRV rice paper decoupage. These prints are unique to the craft kits. We will eventually add them to the website, but they aren't available other than in the craft kit for right now. I just figured maybe not everybody likes cows, so I wanted to include 2. You can use whichever one you want and then save the other one for a later project. You're going to get the backer, which you're going to be decoupaging, and the top piece. Yours will not have writing on it. This is Zeb's prototype. And once you decoupage, you're going to glue this in place and create a little window that you can hang on your wall. You can lean up in like one of those little easels or whatever you choose. You will get glue. If you get a little bottle and it's just wood glue, just know that this glue didn't work. I'm trying it out for this video and we'll see how I like it. You're going to get 1 container of liquid patina, which is going to be your sealer and decoupage. This is what you're going to like, you know, like Mod Podge, but this is better. Then you're going to get tarnished pearl, which looks kind of like the liquid patina, but when you see them in real life, the tarnished pearl has a gray hue. And if you open them, you can definitely tell because the liquid patina is thin and the tarnished pearl is a DIY clay-based paint. It's much thicker. Then you're going to get same layered chocolate because we're going to do a 2-tone finish. And you will get this not so fabulous foam brush. We send it so in case you don't have a brush, you can use it. I'm not going to be using this one today because I do have brushes that I can use instead. But the nice thing about this one is it fits neatly into your container and you can just wash it in between coats and it will definitely last you for your kit. Let's get started. You want to be able to put the glue where you don't have paint. So I just took a marker and I have this on top and I marked my corners, and it also will save on paint. So I'm just going to paint inside these corners with the tarnished pearl. See, it's nice and thick. You can tell that it's not liquid patina. You just need to do 1 coat. Doesn't matter if it's perfect coverage. This is just going to make your rice paper that much brighter. And it's okay if it's not perfect, and it's okay if it's streaky. That right there is done for what we're doing right now. While that dries, if you have the foam brush, you're going to have to wash it. Next up, I'm going to lay down a base layer on my window frame because I want to distress back to brown. If you want to, you could use water and then you'd use less paint, but we're going to give you enough paint that you'll be okay. And if you like the brown on the top, you could also do white first, then brown, and distress back to that, whatever works. Don't paint the other side because that's the side that's going to glue down. You just want to paint the top. Since the edge is going to be visible, I'm going to just paint this edge. You do not have to paint the back of your craft kit. If you have enough paint left over, you can paint it should you choose, or decoupage the other piece. But that's totally up to you, because if it's going to be against the wall, I don't know why you'd want to paint it. But I'm just going to do the edge, so that way if I distress the edge, it shows brown. Okay, so now's the hard part. You have to decide, are you going to use the botanicals or the cows? I'm going to use botanicals, and I'm just going to make sure it's where it's supposed to be on here. It's going to be slightly larger than the window frame, and you want to make sure it's square. I'm going to lay down a coat of the liquid patina, put my rice paper down, and then more liquid patina. You want to make sure that you are nice and generous with your liquid patina. We've given you plenty for the project. So once you lay it down, then you can lay down your paper. Make sure it's square. Looks good to me. Then you just put your liquid patina over the top. Make sure, you guys, that you've got liquid patina under all the edges. If you're not sure, you can always pull it back up. And then don't put any paint or patina on these edges because that's where we're going to glue. So I'm just going to put this over the top and then you let it dry. And oh, also I should tell you, there's little speckles on the paper. That's intentional. It is not chocolate. I was like, Zeb, what is on the paper? And he's like, that's distress. I didn't know that. Now I do. So while the liquid patina is drying, I'm just gonna brush on a coat of the tarnished pearl. You can do multiple coats, you can do kind of a rustic look. I don't want it to be perfect, so I'm just gonna kind of brush this on however, and then I'll come back and distress it once it's dry. I'm also gonna add a little bit of this just around the edge of the bottom that's drying right now, but it's just so much easier to paint this part when it's not attached. Next up, we're just gonna wet distress now that it's dry, and I'm just gonna pull back some of that dark color. Once you see the brown come out, then stop distressing. You don't wanna go through the brown and get to the bottom. But you can kind of see how it's just gonna lightly look distressed. If you don't wanna distress yours, you could probably skip painting the brown. Just know that it's gonna take way more tarnished pearl because that MDF will soak up whatever layer is going down first. Okay, so this is about as distressed as I want it to go, but this is a great technique, even if you're not doing the craft kit, to put a darker color underneath, then a white color and wet distress back. I love layered chocolate and tarnished pearl. It just looks like old weathered wood. It's a little bit darker gray in a few areas, and that's just because it's wet. Once it dries completely, it'll be a lot lighter. Okay, it's mostly dry. I think it's still a little wet underneath, but I can go ahead and put this together, and then it can finish drying all at once. So this just sits on top. So you're gonna take your glue. If you don't get this glue and you get wood glue, it's because, like I said, this one didn't work very good. This is why it's important not to paint first. I'll know if you didn't watch this video because you gotta snip the top off. I was like, why isn't glue coming out? Okay, so you're just gonna put this on here. I'm just gonna do the corners because I really think that's gonna be enough. But if you've got enough extra left over, you could probably go all the way around. If you get wood glue, it's the same concept. Just lay the glue down, lay your thing on top, and then place something heavy on it like a book so that way it can dry, and then we'll touch up the edges and we'll be done. I want to show you how many books I used. You want lots of books. You want so that way there's no gap and it's all the way compressed. You could also use clamps, I guess, but not everybody has those. So lots of books, nice and heavy. Use a brick and a pot, whatever you got to do, because you really want that to adhere. Wait about an hour and then you can finish it. Okay, so now there's this little lip here. I'm going to go ahead and paint this the same color as this, wet distress it, and I'm going to be done. So I wound up watering down my leftover tarnished pearl and did kind of a wash on the back. If you want it to be more solid, you can use the leftover brown that you have, just so that way the MDF soaks it up, and then put the tarnished pearl over that. Or you don't have to paint the back because ain't nobody gonna see it. So you should have about a half or a little less than that liquid patina left. And if you want, you can brush that on to seal your paint. I personally think that it's fine, so I'm gonna leave it as is. Here is my finished project. Yours will look like this, or maybe a little different if you decided to put the cow paper in there. A few tips and tricks that I want you to remember is make sure you do not put paint where the raw MDF is going to be glued together. That's why you gotta mark it, and only paint where you're gonna put decoupage because it will adhere the best if it's MDF to MDF with no paint in between. Also, make sure when you do glue it that you put something heavy on here and let it dry for an hour, and use the entire thing of super glue, and make sure you really get the corners good and then go around the edge. You're gonna wanna use the whole bottle. If you put heavy stuff on it and let it sit for an hour, it's just fine. If you happen to glue it and it's a little bit off, you can sand it to make it level and then just repaint that side. And again, you can do a wash on the back with your leftover paint, or you can do a coat of the layered chocolate that's left over and then the tarnished pearl. I didn't add any extra sealer to mine, but there is enough patina that you can go around just the frame if you want to. If you'd like one of these kits, we will drop the link in the description box. They're at jamierayvintage.com, or if you just want the paint and products, we sell them on our website as well. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to Jamie Ray Vintage for more DIY.